Hey guys, I'm Julian King, and you are watching the very first episode of Church. This is new for me. I'm stepping into some conversation that I feel is very necessary, not just for me, but just for like everyone. I thought it was very befitting that the first guest that I asked be here today, just because I think she's been through it all. And I think it would be a great start to the Church series. So without further ado, give it up for my mama.
All right, so hey everybody, I am Julian King's mama. That is actually what people call me when we're out and about. Some of them say Mama Neen, but most people call me Julian King's mom. And I am elated to be his first guest. I had no idea what this was about. That makes you kind of nervous with Julian. However, I am excited. I'm excited to just see who you are becoming, who you've become thus far. The one thing we know about Julian is whatever he puts his mind to, it will come to pass. Trust me on that. And so that's the one thing that I actually admire about you. And I think it's one of the things that, because no matter what obstacles have come your way, you have made sure that you always rise, just like cream and oil rises to the top. You've always risen to the top. So I'm honored to be your first guest. Let's get at it.
Thanks, Mom. So this idea came about through like some therapy sessions I had. I just felt like inspired, and through that I've been having conversations just with like the friends around me. And I felt like there was a need, and especially from my communities, the relationships between parents and grandparents is sometimes very difficult just because of the difference in generations and the way we live our lives and stuff like that. So thank you for being here. This is going to be really relaxed. I definitely have a red blend that we're going to be enjoying. But I'm just going to be asking some questions, and I want us to just have some talk time like we usually do. So cheers to that. First question. What was I like as a child?
Julian was a ball of fire from the moment he opened his eyes until the moment you closed your eyes. You were determined. You very sensitive, but still very sensitive. But you hide that you're sensitive. So you don't lead with sensitivity, but you used to lead with sensitivity. You adapt well to whatever situation. You've always adapted very well to whatever situation you were in. You know, the one of the things that stands out about you, Julian, is always going to be seen. So
Heard and understood.
Like the one thing that I've always, like, you were destined to be great, and not that you needed the stage to be great, but what I mean is in your creative aspect, you were destined to be great. You argumentative because you were going to get your point across. Mm-hmm. You loved having like the last word, but always the life of the party. Always.
That's a cool child. Was there any inclination that I was different? And from a mother's perspective, how do you gauge that?
I knew that there was something different. I didn't know what the different was. Mm-hmm. And every mom wants their sons to grow up and give them kids. And, right. You know, and so I can't say that as a mom, I'm like, gosh, you know, Julian would have made a great dad, and you know, I'm never gonna have great kids from him, or maybe not, right. maybe not, right. But I had dog grandparents from you, right? Cats, but the dogs were like our grandkids from you, but it's not a disappointment, it's just something that you didn't anticipate as a parent.
How have you been dealing with that? Because now it's 2 out of your 3 oldest. And that's actually one of my questions. But I wanna piggyback off of what you just said. How do you cope with that? And how has your relationship with your children changed as a result of this newness?
I don't know if cope is a good word.
Okay.
I think cope was a good word. Mm-hmm. When the initial not shock, but you know, like let's call it that. Let's call it shock. Right. When the initial shock that the picture frame that you had in your mind?
There was never any inclination.
Not for Majesty.
Okay.
Not for Majesty. That's what I'm saying.
That one was kind of like
Majesty.
A swing.
Your
of
sister
bat,
was like a what? No, and the crazy thing is because you loved women. So that's why, like, for me, it was like, no, Julian loved, like, you loved women. You loved looking at women. Like, when we went to Punta Cana, I don't know who was worse, you or Jalil.
It was definitely a nude beach. I remember that.
We were on this nude beach, and we didn't know it was a nude beach. We would never have taken our little kids to a nude beach. But we didn't know it was a nude beach. And we're standing there like, this is a nude beach. And my mom is trying to grab Jalil's eyes. I'm trying to grab because you and Jalil were going crazy. And so that's why I said it was kind of like you kind of chalk it up to the creative side of you. You know what I mean? The sensitive side of you. I think it was more always the creative or he's sensitive outweighs the, because what's to say that a boy can't
do hair?
Can't do hair. I know men that do hair that are straight men.
Right.
I had to learn to just love you for who you are. Period. And as a mom, that was more important to me than you being gay, she being lesbian.
Right. I think it's interesting. I feel like we grow up in this this generation that is kind of just challenging a lot of labels. And I know a lot of people, and I found myself in this place too, where I kind of was just like, I like what I like when I like it. And I'm also open to trying different things because life just didn't feel so black and white. And I think our idea of what was changing as the more that we were getting technology and the access to information and other people were just becoming more. One of the other things that I often think about is like why anyone being gay within the Black community is such a taboo topic. Why is that? Because I've seen so many in church and families, and like we were not the first gay people ever.
I don't know if taboo's a good word,
but like it's not talked about.
Well, there's a lot of things that aren't talked about. Teenage pregnancy isn't talked about either.
Right.
Being a widow is not talked about. There's a lot of things that aren't talked about. But I think there's another side too that I don't think is fair for a straight person. Like when we having a conversation, like we can't have an opinion without it being, oh well, you feel that way because I'm gay. No, I feel that way because I feel that way.
Right.
And oftentimes I feel that there's like this fine line or this like we gotta walk on eggshells because everything that we might say or anything we might say is like, oh, you're saying that because I'm gay. You wouldn't feel that way if I wasn't gay. Yeah, I would. I think
it's also depending on the person too, because I think it's depending on the person.
But you can admit that.
Oh no, I absolutely believe it, and I often challenge my gay friends, and I ask them like, what is this like anger? What is this? Because that's not going to do anything but further perpetuate this idea that all gays are angry, especially the Black ones. And I really, really hate that. And that kind of leads me to my next question. When you think of the community, is there anything that you want to know, or is there anything that you just don't understand, or is there anything? I mean, I think maybe the anger thing in conversations was one that you just kind of don't really understand. But I think it really does depend on the person. And like, I find that there's a lot of trauma that a lot of people are working through, and the way that they work through it is all very different.
It shows up in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, the one thing that I guess I don't quite understand is I'm not out in the streets like, look at me, I'm straight, right? I'm not like, look at me, come here, Paul, let me tongue you down in the middle of the street. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand, for me, why if I'm not exploiting, if I'm straight, I'm straight. I don't have to like, right, all over the place. I'm reserved with it. I think there's a place for everything. Mm-hmm. But I notice that in the LGBT T community. I was going to say Q. I don't know why I was going to say Q. Q. I was right. That it feels like it's like this performance all the time.
Right.
And I guess I don't understand that.
I think when I think about it, you know, I kind of equate it to girls who grew up in church, right? So girls who grew up in church, it was giving most likely Tuesday through Sunday. And then when they get to college, they just wild out. They're drinking, they're partying, they're meeting all these guys, they're doing the most just because in a lot of ways it felt like they were caged in. And I think with a lot of my peers, it has also felt that way. So for years, they've had to either suppress how they felt, suppress their identity, move in a way that was comfortable to everyone else but themselves. And when they finally got the courage to be happy with who they were, then it was just like, and that's kind of like the fire-breathing dragon that you kind of see a lot. But it differs. It really differs because I've had friends who have come out at 9 years old, and they're a little bit more mild-mannered. And then I've had friends who just came out last year, and they are hopping planes and flights.
So the same way, and I think that the same way that I would feel if I saw a heterosexual couple right there, you know what I mean?
Kissing and making out,
and just outlandish.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, I would feel the same way if it was a heterosexual couple versus, but the LGBTQ community takes it so, oh, you're just saying that because I'm gay. No, I'm saying that because as a mom, I don't want to see that.
Right.
You know what I mean? As a mom, like I'm a mom. I'm your mom. I don't want to see that.
Right.
And it doesn't mean I don't want to see it because you're gay. I don't want to see it because I'm your mom.
Right.
So that's what I mean. I think that there has to be a level of understanding on both sides. And I think there also has to be a level of grace on both sides. Mm-hmm. That the same way that me as a mom, you know, a heterosexual mom, has to now have to learn. It's like all these years I've been your mom. And then now I have to, I'm your mom. I'm the mom of the same child that I raised, that I pushed out. But now there's a different way that you live your life. Mm-hmm. That now I have to grow an understanding of. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so the same way that you want, that the gay community wants an understanding from us and some grace from us, is the same way that you kind of give us grace too. Right. I think that I've done better. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I was great in the beginning, because for me it was like, you know, I grew up in I grew up and I still believe in the word of God. You know, it's still my belief. Right. And so for me, I don't think I did great in the beginning, but I think I'm better now. And I think I have gotten past the, like, I no longer feel the shock. I no longer feel the, you know, and when I see you, I don't see you as Julian, my gay son. I see you as Julian King.
Right. I love that. And I think that's the goal, where we can be in a place where we just respect each other. And I'm not talking about me, but I'm just talking about like all of us in the world. Like, it doesn't matter what God you believe in or what your sexuality is or what you choose to do, but it's just all about respect. I used to say tolerance and respect, but just respect.
I think a dog deserves respect. If I was to see you like stripping, you know, on social media, and it wouldn't be because you were gay. If I had a feeling about it, it would be because, wait a minute, hold on, that ain't my son. It's you know, it wouldn't have anything to do with who you are or your sexuality. It would have everything to do with who you are, my son. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Oh, good.
I wanted to kind of piggyback off of the statement, like where we were talking about the before and after, because now that 2 out of your 3 eldest stand very proud, how does that shape the way you allow your youngest to see herself and raising a child in this new generation?
That's a good question.
Proud of myself for that one.
That is a damn good question. Let me drink to that again. No,
cheers to that.
Cheers to that again, right?
Hey, Agatha.
Hey. You know, I've learned, and I'm learning, that you can only raise up a child in the way that they should go, right? You can only lay the foundation. What I believe is that I'm laying a foundation of for Paige to be respectful. I'm laying the foundation for Paige to be a strong Black woman, you know, who understands business and who understands her. And I'm trying to help her now. I you know, I was young, very young when I had you guys. I didn't know what I know now then. I'm trying to raise her to understand how she feels. And I'm asking more questions about, well, how do you feel about that? And giving her more space, because I'm trying to not make the mistakes I made. Maybe, you know, I don't think I did a bad job, but I want to do better, because when you know better, I feel like you should do better. And I don't have any feeling in me like I failed as a mom. I don't. I feel like I created damn good looking kids. I mean, they are fine, right? No, really, you all are smart. You're articulate. You are driven. You know, I don't really know what more a parent can ask for. You've never killed anybody, at least I don't think you guys know. You haven't, you know, you don't cause harm to the community. Like you know, you all are servants. You chose your path. I chose my path. And I think that sometimes, and I think the mistake that I might have made is thinking that you didn't need me. I think I backed off a little bit because I just felt like you didn't need me at a certain point. And that's my fault. And when I look back.
How'd you feel that way?
Because sometimes the kids just like, your brother Rashid was always like, mom, 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 mom. Then you have a child like you that's like, if you don't talk to me in a week, it's like, okay. But, so I took that as you didn't need me. You know what I mean? Not that you wanted me to check in on you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I feel you.
Because you've always been like, so super, I'm gonna do it myself, independent, da-da-da. Where Rashid is like, mom, where you at? What you doing? It was just a very different dynamic between you and Rashid. And then Majesty is just like Rashid, but just like you. It's so weird that she's just like you in that aspect. Like, mom, I'm good. Like, I don't need, like, she doesn't need to be bothered. Doesn't want to be bothered. So you don't want to like overstep your bounds as a parent. It's like, how much space do I give them before I, you know, because you don't want a crowd. It's like, I want you to grow up and be who you are and not feel like I'm trying to hoard over your life. But when do I step in? Like, what's my boundary, if there is any,
right.
You know?
In a lot of ways, I felt like growing up, I was taught to think for myself, but not really think for myself. And it's a conversation that I have with my grandparents a lot, because it's like, you raised me, you taught me to think for myself, and then when I think for myself, you know, we end up having conversations about me thinking for myself. And my hope is just that all of the kids growing up, Paige, Kylie, all of them, that they are just able to be in a space where what they feel and who they are is actually validated from the people that are around them. It doesn't matter whether Kylie grows up to be an astronaut or Paige grows up to be whatever, whoever. That's just important for me, just because I think that if I may have had a little bit more of that when I was younger, it would not have taken me so long to arrive where I'm at now. Not that I'm mad about my journey, because
it made you who you are.
Oh my God, absolutely. And I wouldn't have wanted a different foundation. I'm rock solid on that.
Yeah, I think that we come from, when you think about my generation, but not really my generation, right. The generation before
right.
mine, they were not as educated, right? Or maybe even the generation before theirs. That's where it really, like, those two generations. And this is not a fault or a blame or anything like that, but when you figure, like, my grandfather never finished school, you know, they weren't as educated. They were just taught, like, just go to work and provide. And there were things that were taught and that were just passed down because there was no real understanding or knowledge.
And they didn't have the access to find out that what they were being told was not
you know,
true. Or like there were other versions of life.
Well, so let's look at it like this. You know, we were born and raised in church, the four walls of the church, but we were taught, well, we are the church, right?
Right.
And so then I didn't walk away from church. I didn't walk away from God. I just realized that my ministry, there was something different about my ministry. It wasn't for the four walls of the church. And I mean, I remember just getting a lot of backlash. Oh, you know, you chasing money. I wasn't chasing money. The money was chasing me. I was chasing my purpose. And I found my purpose through business. Like, it took me to go through business to find my purpose. But now I know that ministry is in me, but it was more marketplace.
Right.
It's mainstream. It wasn't in the four walls as a pastor of the four walls. And so just like, I feel like we went through the same thing in a little bit of a different capacity. But I went through the same thing. It was like, oh, you walking away from God, you're not at church, and why aren't you? And I'm like, I am at church. Because I honestly feel like I do more ministry doing what I'm doing. And I know that I'm helping people. I know that I'm watching people's lives change. And for me, and this is not a bash or anything, but when I look at some of the people that have been in the four walls, and I'm looking at their lives 5, 10, 15, 20 years and no change.
Right.
You know, we serve a God that is supposed to, you know, our lives should be fulfilled and we should be evolving, you know, and growing. And when I started not seeing that, I didn't doubt God, but just the office of the church. So I understand. I believe that there is a lot of damage that's been done just because we just passed on things. We didn't question it. Because we didn't know to question it.
Right.
You know, I don't bash my parents or their lineage or anything like that because they did the best that they could.
Right.
I am so grateful for the foundation that we had because I don't believe that I would be who I am today.
Without it.
I don't believe that we would probably all be just buck wild, honestly.
Right.
But we got a strong foundation from our family. Spiritually, we're grounded. You know, we know that there's a God. We know there is. We treat other people with respect because of the foundation that we've had. And I'm grateful for that foundation. I just believe that there's more to the foundation.
Right.
And that is what I went in quest of, in search of, the more to the foundation, so that we could, honestly, the people that we're supposed to serve are not in those four walls. The people that we are supposed to serve are out beyond the walls.
I've always believed that.
Yeah.
I've always believed that, and I think ministry comes in a lot of different forms. It doesn't necessarily have to be all the time, you know? A ministry could be a woman cooking for the neighborhood kids on her block every Wednesday and Thursday, you know, just touching people. And I love that. I love that. Do you think that, it's gonna be like a twofold question. Do you think that you still have more growth when it comes to being an ally for other people's ways of living? Or do you feel like you're kind of content with where you are, you love everybody, or like, does that make sense?
No,
like, do you, is there a desire to just dig a little deeper to understand, like, me and Majesty a little bit more?
So here's the crazy thing. You're saying it like on this planet, right? And here's the deal. I mean, I don't separate. So here's the deal. Because in my mind, you're my kids. And I feel like any conversation that we have should be right because you're my kids. And there's a thing that you're going through. I don't separate. Like, I'm not like, oh, because they're gay, let me find out what's going on in the gay world. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a world that we live in, right? And if you're going through something, I'm not labeling that as he's going through a gay thing.
Right.
No, my son is going through something. And I feel like there's more I think the wall that was up because you were hiding. You know what I mean? Because you didn't feel like you were going to be accepted because you hadn't yet accepted it yourself fully. I think the closet that you were in and the shackles that you were in maybe has caused there to be like a breach in how much of your truth you were willing to share with me. You know what I mean? And if I caused you to feel like you couldn't share it with me, then I apologize for that. Because God knows I would never want you to feel like you had to hide from me. But for you and Majesty, it was always like you guys were always like so. I wasn't a part of your whole world.
That's the Aquarius.
Right, and so a lot of it is like
heavy on the Aquarius.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not like I feel like that because it's like, oh, I get it, cause he's gay and she. No, it was like that was a part of who you are and were. And then when your children become grown, as a parent, you don't overstep. You wait to be invited into certain sectors of their world. I feel like since you told me that you were gay, you are more open to me now. You are more open. And Majesty too. And I feel that I am trying to understand who you are as an adult, not because Julian is gay. Let me understand Julian, the gay son of mine. I don't look at you like that. It's like Julian, that Julian of mine. It has nothing to do with your sexuality. It has everything to do with you are a grown man now. You know, and who is Julian now? Julian is not Hey Macarena Julian anymore. You know,
still searching for that video.
Me too. If you
we're still searching.
Get our hands on that Macarena video, it is going to be epic.
Yeah,
epic.
We gotta find it.
We gotta find it. I promise you. But
I love hearing you talk like this. I really do. I think that a large majority of my non-openness was because of the lack of these types of conversations. And I think it's a lot easier now that I am grown, because I feel like, not even just with you, but like maybe the family at large or like the world at large, I feel like I demand a different level of respect because I am grown, and none of the decisions that I'm making are tarnishing the family name, putting anyone in harm's way, harming myself. Like, it's just me. I'm grown now, and all of my decisions are held accountable for. I hold myself accountable for them. And so it's easier for me to communicate with that. And then also being older and having experienced some things and traveled the world, and, you know, who I am now versus who I was at 21, two totally different guys. And it kind of brings me like to my last question. With you kind of being where you are, what advice would you give to parents who may have felt the way that you did? Because how you did feel and how you do feel are two different feelings now. And it changed for the better, not the worse.
Right. Well, parents, grab some wine, let's kiki. No, let me see.
I love that everybody says kiki now.
Right. I would say, one, parents, forgive yourselves. Because there are parents that are wearing this like they did something wrong, or like they failed as a parent, and they're wearing it. I'm talking to a lot of parents, and they're wearing that. I honestly believe that they're, as I'm talking to more parents, and there are parents who have some teenagers that are going through the same things, and they're feeling like they gotta kind of hide it, or I would say that the best thing to do, parents, is to not turn a deaf ear to your kids. And not to be in judgment, because you know what? We've done some things, parents, that we are not proud of. And I would say take some time to get to know your child and to find out, and you know what, to accept this place that they're in right now. Who knows? right? Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But if this is where your child is at, I would say that you've got to learn to love them for who they are, or you're gonna lose them. And you got to ask yourself, parents, are you willing to pay that price of losing your child because you may not agree with how they're living or what they're living? I would say that you also, children that are LGBTQ, you also have to understand that your parents have a right to feel the way that they do. And as long as you can come to a place where you're respectful with how you feel on both ends, because just because you've embraced your sexuality doesn't mean that your parent is ready to embrace that, right? And so I would say that there has to be grace and respect shown on both sides. But I do believe that your children's sexuality should not be the defining thing in your relationship. I would die for you. Like, I would die for you. Like, take a bullet, but I'm gonna shoot first. But I would, mama come pecking. I would die for you. And you being gay does not change the way that I feel about you at all. And I think every gay or lesbian child is waiting to hear that from their parent. Like, that you being gay, you being a lesbian does not change the way we feel about you. I may not agree. And there might be prayers that I put up. I ain't gonna lie, right? Because of what I believe. But it doesn't change the way that I feel about you.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call church. Mom, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for, like, even in the awkward phase, just still loving me through it with the little things, the pride shot glasses, the pasta, the little things. And I'm proud of you. I'm not looking to sit here and try to change your viewpoint of life. That's never my intention. But I love you even more for opening yourself up to the idea that, your seed was a little different. And I think that our relationship has grown since that day in the kitchen. And so I'm just grateful for it. So I love you, and I know you're proud of me, but I'm also proud of you too. And this is exactly what I wanted this to be. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tune in next time on the next episode of Church. Until then, cheers.
Cheers, and next time we'll have better wine.
And listen, this is good to me. Bye, guys.
Bye.